So students, this is a chapter 6 and the last video of chapter 6 pollination, the second video it is. And the learning objectives are various terms related to pollination, agents of pollination, wind pollination, water pollination, insect pollination, advantages of cross pollination and disadvantages of cross pollination. So let's get started with the first topic, various terms related to pollination. As students, we have previously discussed that pollination is of two types, and one is called self-pollination, the second one is called cross-pollination. As you know that self-pollination is also of two types, that is autogamy and geitonogamy, which we have already discussed in the previous video lesson. And the third one, that is called cross-pollination, that is called xenogamy. And as you know that xenogamy or that cross-pollination depends on external agencies, or we can say that pollinating agents, or we can say pollinators. So these pollinating agents are of two types, and these are abiotic and biotic. Abiotic components, which are non-living factors of the environment. And you can see wind and water. These are the pollinating agents. And biotic agents, you can see here snails, insects, birds, bats, other vertebrates. There are so many biotic agents which work as a pollinating agents, or we can say as a pollinators, or they help in cross pollination. So these are the terms related to pollination. Let us find out pollinating agents which are there in your syllabus. And these are abiotic factors, wind and water. And in biotic factor, it is bird and insects. The pollination by bat, it is not given. So bird and insect pollination are the biotic factors which we are going to read in this video lesson. Wind pollination. The first one is wind pollination. When the transfer of pollen grains occur through wind or through the moving air, then it is called wind pollination. This is also called anemophily. And here that in this type of pollination, that pollen has to carry away with the wind, so that the pollen grains are very smaller, even the flowers are smaller, and such type of flowers are actually inconspicuous and small and produce very minute pollen grains. Okay, and they present in clusters too. Clusters, there is another term I have given it in the previous video lesson. What is that? The cluster of flowers present on the same stalk. Do you remember it? It is called inflorescence. Yes. So such type of flowers these are, and the stamens are long and hang outside of the flower. The stamen are actually longer and hang outside so that they can easily catch the they can easily spread this pollen grains into the air. Then the female flowers have thin, long styles or feathery stigma. Female flowers have thin stigma or they are having a feathery stigma. Why it is so? Feathery stigma is very easy to, for feathery stigma, it is very easy to catch pollen grains. They can, this pollen grains can easily entrapped in such feathers. Then the next one is pollen are produced in a huge quantity. In a higher quantity, pollen grains are produced because some of the pollen grains will definitely waste. All the pollen grains will not reach or targeted to the. They are targeted to the stigma, but they will not reach to the particular stigma. Some are wasted. They are on the floor, on our cloths, or somewhere on this earth. Okay, so this is about wind pollination. Example of wind pollination flowers are coconut palm, date palm, maize, walnut, oats, and grasses. So these are the wind pollinated flowers. Let us see the picture. Here you can see these two pictures are really beautiful. Here you can see that the first one, how that pollen grains are spread in the air. Okay, and with the wind current they move to different places. So see that millions of pollen grains liberated by the flower, and then the female flower catches it. So in a normal condition the flower is this one, and in the that pollinated stage it is like the wind pollen grains are carried away with the wind. Okay, So this is about anemophily. The second terminology is hydrophily. Hydrophily, it means when the pollen grains are transferred through water. It means water acts as a mediator. So such type of flowers are also produced in a large quantity because some of the flowers are actually float on the surface of uh, water, and the pollen grains also can float on the surface of water. They can be waterproof, and uh, they are smaller in size, and the flowers are smaller. It means the male flowers are smaller as compared to female flowers, and are born on on a long stalk, as I will give you that pic of it. But before this, I want to tell you that hydrophily is also of two types. It means when the pollination occurs on the surface of water, then it is called water pollinate. It is called epihydrophily. Yeah, ephydrophily. Okay, when it is on the surface of water, and when it is in the surface or below the surface or beneath the water, beneath the water surface, then it is called as hyphydrophily. In your book, example of Vallisneria is given. As in the previous one, example of maize is given. You can see this is maize plant. Okay, and here example of Vallisneria is given. So let us talk about Vallisneria. Vallisneria, this is a picture of Vallisneria, and this is a dioecious plant, submerged dioecious plant. Dioecious, it means that the male flowers are grown in a separate plant and female flowers are grown in a different plant. And as it is a submerged plant, so you can see that the roots are there in the water, and it come over the surface of that the leaves or that the flowers can come over the surface of water. So here, that the male flowers, when it detached from its inflorescence, as you know that it is a cluster of flower. So when it detached from its inflorescence, then come over the surface of water, and then the sum of the pollen grains also move, or that floats on the surface of water. And as you can see that flowers are generally larger as compared to male flower. So this is a pistillate, or we can say female flower. When it catches its pollen grain, then it coil itself as it grows. As the female flower is grown on a long stalk, and this stalk is flexible. So when it catches its pollen grain, or the female or the male flower, then coils itself and go down into the water. And after that, the further development of fruits and seeds takes place. Here you can see the structure of male flower and the structure of female flower. Got it? So the next terminology is entomophily. When the transfer of pollen grains occur through insects, it means insects help in pollination, then it is called entomophily. There is a peculiar relationships are there between the flowers and the insect. As the purpose of flower is that to get pollinated by insect. Okay, by attaching with the surface of body surface of insects. And flowers, how they benefited, that they get nectar is a sugary compound. So insects get their food from the flower, and flowers get pollinated. So we can say mutual relationship is there. And the flowers, such type of flowers are generally bright colored, conspicuous, scented, fragmented, I can say. And also they have good amount of nectar, and this nectar is generally present in the nectaries. Nectaries are what? That these are a glandular portion which is there in the flower, inside the flower. Even such type of flowers have fine lines are also there, which helps the insect to guide into for taking nectar. And when they guide into, then it is easy that the sum of the pollen grain, because as you know that the pollen grains are very fine, so they can easily attach with the body of insects. Let me show you a picture here. First see this picture. Different insects help in the pollination or in entomophily. Okay, generally Butterfly and bees are very common in insect pollination. And one more thing, that the pollen grains are large and modified. Modified. Not only flowers get modified, even the pollen grains are also. They are larger and they have spiny or sticky walls on them. So this spiny sticky walls attach with the body of insects. See, this is the beautiful picture. So here you can see that bees get attracted by the flower. Maybe yes, here you can see that the long stalk like structures are there. There are so many long stalk structures, and on which this yellow and brown bilobed structure is there. What is that? This is anther, and in the anther there are minute particles, that pollen grains are there, which can stick on the surface of the uh, insects. You can see that how they stick on the surface of insects. See, if the flowers produce large amount of nectar, see how they can attach with the body of, they just rubbed onto the surface of the body of insects, and when it visit to another flower, then definitely some of the grains can dust it onto the body of another flower. And if it is the same type of flower, or the same species flower, then the purpose of pollination will be fulfilled. So very beautiful pictures these are. I think the topic is clear to you. Hmm. In insect pollination or in entomophily, example of salvia is given in your syllabus. So let me explain you. It shows a lever mechanism. So what is that? That the anther and stigma did develop hood-like structure. Okay. So whenever here you can see the in the first one at the anther. Okay. So it makes a hood-like structure, and whenever the insect comes, see second one, whenever the insect come, so some of the pollen grains get rubbed off onto the body of insects. Okay. And then, as you know, as I have shown you previous picture, with how that anther stick onto the body of insects. Then stigma, as they are also sticky, so then they catch the pollen grains from the insect's body. Okay. And this is called pollination in salvia, and this is a lever mechanism. As you know, that lever is what, that it is a simple tool, like where when we apply force, then the second part works accordingly. And here, that the force is applied onto the anther, or that the stamen part, so that the anther or that the pollen grains get discharged, and similar thing happen to the stigma. Okay. Then the next terminology, that is bird pollination or ornithophy. Ornithophy, when the birds help in pollination, then it is called as ornithophy. And such type of flowers are larger because birds has to come, and even they can sit, or they just grasp or put their beak into the flower. So such type of flower is funnel shaped. Generally they are funnel shaped, maybe not all, but funnel shaped. And strong colors of petals like red, yellow, blue, such type of color, strong color, so that the bird from a height can see flowers. And the stigma is sticky. Stigmas are generally sticky. And one more thing, why birds watch or visit the flower? Because there is much amount of nectar. Yeah, this much amount, so that it forms a juicy part. Okay, so that the bird can sip the nectar from the funnel shaped flower. See another pictures. Wow, these are also beautiful pictures. So see um, that how different birds catch their nectar from the flower, and unknowingly, unintentionally, they help in the pollination too. Okay. Then the last, advantages of cross pollination result in much better genetically different offsprings. Such type of offsprings are different. Why we can say that these are different? Because they belong to different plants. They are not from the same plant. So genetically they are different. And if they are genetically different, then we can say that uh, they produce a new genetic combination. They produce new genetic combination. So we can say that new varieties of plants can be obtained by this. And one more thing, that adaptability of plant to their environment is much better. As the pollen grains has to suffer a lot, it has to travel a lot, and after traveling it is capable to being capable of being fertile. So it is it is adaptive to climatic condition, and that's why we can say that adaptability to the environment is much better as compared to the self pollinated flowers. There are some disadvantages too. So the first one is that, as you know, that in cross pollination, external agencies are required. We need external agencies. Okay, it means that flowers need external agency. Even we can help. Even artificial pollination is also there, but this is not given in the syllabus right now. In this chapter, it's not given. So external agencies are needed. And wastage of pollen grains, yes, as you have seen in the wind pollination and water pollination, much amount of pollen grains are wasted. How much pollen grains are produced, and very few are capable to go to their target flower. And pure lines are difficult to obtain, as you know that there is a genetic combination occur in the in cross pollinated flowers, in that genetic combinations, so it will not produce a pure line. Pure lines, it means when the plant, for example, pea plant, okay, so it produce tall plant, okay, tall plant when it produce a flower, and which is that the anthers or that pollen grains are transferred from to the female flower. It should also have a tall plant, it should also have, but it is not. If it is done intentionally, then okay, but if it is not, then what happened, that maybe that it will be a short heighted plant if it is by insects. So insects do it unintentionally, winds do it unintentionally, even that generally external agencies do it unintentionally. So what, that the pure lines will not obtain. It means both the parents are not having the same characteristics, so pure lines can is very difficult to obtain. So this is about the chapter 6. It is over, as you know. Okay, students, prepare notes and keep studying. Have a nice day. Utilize your time. Bye bye.